Tonight, joining me on Film at 11 is Miss Kenya Burks, Chief of Staff for the City of Vicksburg. Welcome to Film at 11.
Thank you. How are you today?
I'm wonderful. Now, you've been on the job about 19 months. You've accomplished a whole lot. You wear many hats within the realm of the city administration, but please tell our viewers a little more about what you do.
As the Chief of Staff for the City of Vicksburg, I'm responsible for some of the strategic management of the mayor and the board's initiatives. Also, there's a project management component of it, so when the mayor and the board have agenda items that they need pushed through, I will be the project manager to make sure that those particular agenda items are seen through fruition. Also, I function in the capacity of the EMS PIO, and so in that role, I'm the person that's responsible for communicating any type of messages to the public as it relates to emergency management.
Of course, we're still in our infancy, but from early on, we've been in contact with you, and usually late at night, we're getting messages to please funnel this information out to the public.
Right. Yes, I try to stay on top of things, working all day and night if need be, to make sure that the public has the necessary information that they need to make good educated decisions on what to do, especially in the cases of emergency.
Of course, we've seemingly been in a unique weather cycle. January and February, we've seen ice, we've seen snow. Of course, I stopped in one Friday before the Martin Luther King parade, and you had a desk full of materials, making sure everything was in place.
Right. Yeah, that was a very busy week and weekend, and that parade turned out to be a pretty good parade. I also invited a couple of the high schools from across the bridge. I'm originally from Louisiana, so the school that I went to, they came over to participate in the parade, and then our rival school, Madison Parish School, they came over to participate in the parade. And so I was happy that I was able to show some of the culture of Louisiana in our parade and make that parade a bigger parade, and we look forward to doing more partnerships across the bridge in other areas also, not just in the parade area, but in making this a regional approach and growing the region as a whole.
Now, of course, you came on the job, had to hit the ground running, a new administration. What are some of the real challenges that you found in taking on the job that you had?
I would say some of the challenges for me, and this is for me as a person, is that I come out of a corporate environment where I did government contract work, but on a regular basis I was in a corporate environment. So some of the structure that exists in the corporate environment does not necessarily exist in the government world, and it's not as conducive to government operations. And so that has been one of my biggest challenges, is that I'm so used to structure and doing things in a certain way and making sure that things are followed up in a certain manner. And that's just not the way the government works. And so for me, that's one of my biggest challenges, in expecting others to move as quickly as I have been expected to move in the corporate world.
And in taking on this job, Mayor Winfield's directives, one of the things I've heard being an outsider looking at the administration was he wanted to cut costs everywhere he potentially could. One of the things I heard early on was the elimination of printers in every office so that they could be networked, the use of equipment by multiple departments. Tell us a little bit more about the initiatives that Mayor Winfield has worked towards.
Okay, and as I mentioned, some of my challenges, that is actually an area of strength for me. I am a process-driven person, and I believe in efficiencies, and so some of the things that the mayor has implemented since he's been in office is, like you said, the technology improvements, where we could reach the masses a whole bunch quicker and cheaper than we could with other means of reaching them, the standard paper means. And so we've implemented a new website. We're taking full advantage of social networking. Our code red system, which was already in place, we're making sure that we utilize that to the fullest ability, and our EMS person, Ms. Anna Booth, is very instrumental in that. With the printers, we're networking printers instead of having local printers that require the use of ink for each particular printer. Also in the police department, prior to us taking office, they used regular cameras, the disposable cameras, and so they would have to pay an enormous amount of money to get film developed for the pictures that they took at crime scenes. And so we went to a digital method where they didn't necessarily have to get the film developed if they didn't need that specific film, but they could store it on a server somewhere and they could retrieve it as they needed it. there's various other technology improvements that we've implemented, and also the use of equipment, where we have departments that do pretty much the same function but in different areas, where we could utilize the same equipment and share that equipment rather than having each department have their own set of equipment to do similar tasks.
One of the areas that came to light, and Chris had a discussion just the other day with Bill Ford from the technology department of the city, was the implementation of a computer-based telephone system.
Correct. Yes, we have implemented voice over IP, and that is not unique to this administration. That is something that was done before we got here. But we have a computer-based telephone system which utilizes that technology, voice over IP. So when we receive a voicemail, we don't have to wait to actually come into the office to check that voicemail. That voicemail is automatically routed to our email. And for all of us that have these handheld devices, it comes to our handheld device. So we could check that voicemail instantly wherever we are, and we could have a quick turnaround time with the citizens and with any other partners that we have out there. So there's not a delay in the time needed to get a response back.
Now, outside of your immediate duties, you recently won a national award. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Yes, recently I was recognized for some quotes that I made for the Service Jam Project. And the Service Jam Project is an initiative that was created by President Obama. And the purpose of the initiative was to get collective ideas from people from all over the world, actually, on what we can do as a community to move service forward. And in that specific jam, they created a white paper. From that specific jam, they created a white paper. And in that white paper, they chose the quotes of 8 different people, and I was one of the 8 people from the 119 countries and 15,000 people that participated. And so it was an honor that they thought that my quote was valuable enough to include in the white paper, and I'm very happy about that. My quote had to do with helping corporations and business partners understand service and the benefit to them and the community as a whole. And so that's a challenge that had been identified, is that corporations don't necessarily fully appreciate service because they are revenue driven. And so my quote had to do with how we can make sure that the corporate partners understand the benefits of service and how it will affect them ultimately over long term.
Congratulations.
Well,
That's
thank you.
Certainly a big honor for yourself as well as for our fine city to have someone such as yourself be recognized on a worldwide platform.
Well, thank you.
Now, while we're on the subject of service, and President Obama, one of his big projects has been AmeriCorps. AmeriCorps is now in our community and playing a big role throughout the community. Of course, I feel like if it hadn't been for AmeriCorps, All Saints School would be another abandoned building. Your thoughts on AmeriCorps and what they're meaning to our community?
Well, I think AmeriCorps is a very valuable asset to the country as a whole. With us having the Southern Regional Campus here, that's a big asset to the city of Vicksburg. AmeriCorps provides a number of service. They have a number of young, energetic kids that's out there, well, young adults that's out there with a very diverse skill set. And so they have partnered with the city of Vicksburg to do various different service projects where we would have had to spend monies to hire someone to do those projects. And not only have they done that for Vicksburg, they've done it for all the different areas in the region. With us being in this year, we've had some pretty bad weather. We had the tornadoes in Yazoo, we had the tornadoes up at Eagle Lake, and now we have these ice storms that we've had of recent. But AmeriCorps has been very instrumental in deploying their people up to Yazoo City and having warm bodies, warm, live, vibrant bodies to get things done in an expedient manner. So we are very happy that we have the AmeriCorps campus here in Vicksburg.
We've seen a lot of progress in the 19 months of this administration. Of course, we're nearing completion on the Washington Street Bridge project, as I understand it.
Yes, the Washington Street Bridge project is expected to be complete by the end of June. We've moved forward with that. We're on schedule with it. As you guys know, it had been closed for an extended period of time, and so this administration, we made some decisions to reallocate some funds because that is a main corridor of commerce. It's a main corridor of not only regular commerce, but of agricultural commerce also. And so we just thought it was very important that we got that bridge up and running so that we did not negatively affect the revenues associated with the commerce up and down Washington Street, and also the residential hardship that it caused for those people that lived off of Washington Street that would have to take that long detour to get back home.
Also, I noticed work going on the depot. There's work going on again on the Motor Vessel Mississippi project on the other end of Washington Street, so to speak.
Right, on the other end of Washington Street, as you may have noticed, that end is pretty much turning into a museum end, it seems as if. And so tourism is one of our main drivers here in the city of Vicksburg, and we expect that once those museums are complete, we're going to get even more tourists into our city. So when they come to view the military park, they will also have some additional outlets. The Transportation Museum is moving along, and also the Motor Vessel Museum is moving, the Interpretive Museum is moving along great also.
We do have a lot of people who are now looking at our website who have a relationship to Vicksburg. People who grew up here or one time lived or worked here. We'd like to take this opportunity to encourage them. Come home and visit.
Right. Yeah, Vicksburg is growing. We have, as we stated earlier, a few museums that have opened, that will be opening in the near future. Our Washington Street Bridge corridor, we have completed phase 1 of that development, and the final phase is expected to be complete by the end of the summer. I'm sorry, by June 15th. So this is a good time to come to Vicksburg. Also, we have new ownership of the Vicksburg Mall, and we're expanding the stores and the retail outlets out there. So we're hoping that you guys come back home to visit your city.
Ms. Burks, thank you for joining us on Film at 11. Thank you for the excellent job you're doing on behalf of our city.
Thank you.